Hi, I'm Jesse Waters, in for Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching this O'Reilly Factor special, Election 2016. Let's get straight to our top story. Donald Trump on offense. After big shakeups in his campaign staff this week, Trump pulled no punches against Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail.
Hillary Clinton is a throwback to an ugly past where politicians preyed on our poorest citizens while selling them out for personal gain. Promises, promises, all talk, no action. All talk, no action politicians. They talk, talk, talk. You vote them in with great fanfare, and then they do nothing. With Trump, that's not going to happen.
But on Thursday, we heard Trump speak in a way we've never heard before.
Sometimes, in the heat of debate and speaking on a multitude of issues, you don't choose the right words, or you say the wrong thing. I have done that. And believe it or not, I regret it, particularly where it may have caused personal pain. Too much is at stake for us to be consumed with these issues. But one thing I can promise you this: I will always tell you the truth.
So the question remains, is Trump doing enough to beat Hillary in November? Joining us now for analysis, Congressman Sean Duffy, a Republican from Wisconsin, and Leslie Rutledge, the Attorney General of Arkansas. Both are surrogates for the Trump campaign. So we know Mr. Trump likes to make nicknames. And, you had Crooked Hillary and Lying Ted, but I heard his family has given him a new nickname. It is Humble Trump, because he is now, for the first time, expressed regret. So this is obviously a monumental moment in this campaign. We know Trump has a big wallet and a big personality, and I think now you're beginning to see Trump with a big heart. And I want to ask you guys, do you think he'll effectively be able to balance the big-hearted, compassionate Donald Trump, which we've started to see, with the tough guy, law and order, take no prisoners Donald Trump that we know and some of us love?
When he's delivering this compassionate, heartfelt, humble message, he's authentically Trump.
Yeah.
He is who he has always been, and I think what he's doing with this message is he's appealing to women, but also how he's crafted this message. He's going after those who are disenfranchised by the economy and being a change agent, saying, listen, if you want more of the same and expect different results, you'll be sorely mistaken. But if you want someone who can change it, I'm your guy. I thought one of the most impressive lines from 2 nights ago was when he said, why can't our children be dreamers too? That appeals to every parent who has a child who wants their kid to have a shot at the American dream. I thought he's pulling at heartstrings and delivering the right message for the first time since he's won the primary 4 months ago.
Yeah, he's definitely striking a more unifying tone. He's kind of rising above the politics and looking at all Americans. Yeah. Leslie, Kellyanne Conway, great female pollster who's now on the Trump campaign, she is credited with this kind of newer, softer Trump, because we all know men will never admit when they're wrong. Men never make a mistake, and when they do, they will never admit it because it's a sign of weakness. Now, when I make a mistake, because I'm such an evolved person, I always apologize. But Trump apologizing, kind of, do you think this will appeal to women, and do you think that is what this is all about?
I think this week we've seen the real Donald Trump come out, stating that he regrets using some of those words that were perhaps unwise. But what we are seeing is that Donald Trump is honest. He is straightforward, an absolute contrast to Hillary Clinton, who lies on top of lies. What we're seeing from these speeches are he's given hope. As the congressman said, as the candidate has said, Donald Trump is a change agent. That's what Americans need. That's why he's talking to folks in inner cities and across our great country, because they need jobs. And that's what Donald Trump is going to bring to the table, are jobs, and be a change agent. Whereas Hillary Clinton, quite frankly, she'll just be Secretary of the same old failed policies of Barack Obama, same failed job growth that we've seen across our country for the last 7 years. And we don't need 4 more years of Secretary of the same and Hillary Clinton. We need a change agent and Donald Trump.
And I think if he runs as change, I think he wins this election. He just has to get out of his own way. The election right now is boiling down to you have Hillary Clinton, who he's tagging as the lying, incompetent runner of a rigged system that you cannot trust and is going to deliver you the same failed policies as President Obama. Or you have an outsider businessman that's going to tell you the truth most of the time, and it's going to really hurt. But he is going to never lie to you. And if he can frame it that way and tie Hillary into the policies of President Obama and create a more uplifting, unifying tone, he has a much better chance at winning independents and at changing the map around and even rallying his own base, because I think the base loves the Trump that they've seen the last week and a half with the teleprompter and going to Milwaukee where there's pain and suffering, going to Louisiana where there's pain and suffering. I think you're seeing a comeback. Would you agree that this is the Trump comeback?
It is, and
Jesse,
that's why
I
people are coming out in droves and talking. People are reaching out to me from across the country saying, this is the Donald Trump we're excited about. This is the Donald Trump that's going to bring America and put us back on our feet again and put us back to work, that we want to update our resume, that Hillary Clinton, she started her career, she and Bill Clinton did, in the same office that I hold as Attorney General, their career of corruption. People are tired of the same old in Washington, D.C. They're ready for that change agent.
Congressman, do you think he needs
Jesse,
to change anything else, or do you think his trajectory is on the right path?
If he does what he's been doing for the last week and a half, I think Donald Trump is going to win this election. If you've been to one of his rallies, which I was at the one in Milwaukee, the power of the energy that comes from the people that come out to see him is absolutely overwhelming.
Yep.
And I think he was taken by that and liked to be off script and feed the crowd. But he had to realize, I'm not just talking to the crowd. I've got millions of people who see my speech for the next 5 days.
That's right.
What he's realized now is
if he gets beyond the big crowds and feeding off the electricity, and it looks long term, I think he's going to be great. Guys, we got to run. Thank you very much.
But he gets them both.
All right, up next, Donald Trump has just released his first national TV ad. We'll tell you about his dire warning about Hillary Clinton directly ahead. In the Impact segment tonight, Donald Trump just came out with his first TV ad against Hillary Clinton. Let's have a look.
In Hillary Clinton's America, the system stays rigged against Americans. Syrian refugees flood in. Illegal immigrants convicted of committing crimes get to stay, collecting Social Security benefits, skipping the line. Our border open, it's more of the same, but worse. Donald Trump's America is secure. Terrorists and dangerous criminals kept out. The border secure. Our families safe. Change that makes America safe again. Donald Trump for president.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
The TV spot is part of nearly $5 million ad buy and will run in the battleground states Florida, Ohio, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania through August 29th. Joining us from Miami for reaction, Bruce Turkel, the CEO of Turkel Brands and author of the book All About Them. And in studio, Peter Shankman, founder of Shank Minds. So pretty slick ad, well produced, a contrast ad between Hillary's America and Donald Trump's America. I was struck by how he was able to kind of coalesce the illegal immigration problem at the border with the national security Muslim refugee crisis. Do you think that was effective?
It was effective. What we're seeing now is Donald Trump taking a stab at being presidential. Just the fact that we heard him say, I'm Donald Trump and I approve this message. He's been running for president for however long now, well over a year, and he's never said that.
Yeah, it sounded really good when you hear that, though.
Right, so to hear him say that, that tells me that someone in his campaign says, okay, look, every time you go off the rails, as it were, you give Hillary ammo to ignore you. So let's make her not ignore you by doing something that she does, right? She puts out ads like this as presidential candidates do. Let's make you a presidential candidate.
And I thought it was a pretty good ad. Bruce, if you look at the ad, it's also a shot at Hillary's trustworthiness because he links her to the rigged system, to the people that aren't waiting in line, that are committing crimes and are allowed to stay, and makes it seem like it's all one and the same, and she's going to be a third term of President Obama. More of the same, but even worse. Did you pick up on that?
Yeah, I thought that was a very effective line, more of the same, but even worse, which is actually an oxymoron, isn't it? But that's what he has to do. If it's a referendum, the election that is, if it's a referendum about him, he loses. If he can move the attention onto her and play it into the congruency and the continuousness of what he's been saying all along, he has the opportunity to move the message. The fascinating thing is to rise above, to take our partisan hats off and look at it as marketing technique. And in marketing technique, this is classic what he's doing. He knows who his people are doing. He knows who his audience is. Suburban security moms, and he knows how to go after them.
Yeah, because you saw at the end they have the image of the family, and this isn't just targeted at American workers or middle-aged white guys. You have the family there who needs protection from these outside influences.
That was an interesting point, that he went after people that Hillary has had a focus on for the past year. It almost reminded me of the bomb ad back in the 60s, the one that changed the entire race.
Yeah, I was around for that one.
Yeah, the basic premise that your security, not just illegal jobs, not just jobs, not just illegals, your family's security, this 3-year-old child of yours security is up for grabs.
Right.
That's something we haven't seen him talk about.
Right, and now we also have a Hillary Clinton ad that we want to play for you. Here is Hillary Clinton's more famous spots. Take a look.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
As a line of clothing. Now, where were these made?
These were made, I don't know where they were made, but they were made someplace. But they're great. It's ties, shirts, cufflinks, everything sold at Macy's, and they're doing great.
Where are the shirts made? Bangladesh.
Well, it's good. Okay. We employed people in Bangladesh.
Ties? Where are the ties
they
made?
Have to work
These are beautiful ties.
They are great ties.
The ties are made in where? China? Ties are made in China.
Oh, look at the face on Donald Trump when Letterman got him. Letterman's still doing all the heavy lifting for the Democrats, even 4 years later. Bruce, what do you think about that? I mean, pretty cute ad, wouldn't you say?
Yes, and also, once again, very strategic. What's that old saying? When your enemy is destroying themselves, stay out of the way. The best thing Hillary Clinton can do is show us the Donald Trump that we've been seeing and show us the hypocrisy, show us the aloofness, show us the lack of compassion. And notice what was longest on that ad. It wasn't him. It wasn't the interviewers. It was the audience laughing when the tie was from China and he smirked, and then the audience laughing and laughing and laughing. Why? Because the message is he's going to make us a laughingstock. He's going to embarrass us. This is going to continue to happen. Very sophisticated advertising we're looking at.
Do you think it was a little rich that Hillary Clinton, who's raking in all this money from foreign enterprises and got caught taking the silverware out of the White House when she left for New York after her husband was finished, is accusing Donald Trump of being greedy?
Well, it's the exact same point where you have Donald Trump. They do the same thing. This is what they do. They're taking it to the, hey, this is how the other side screwed up. Let's play off of this. The problem with that Trump is having right now is that he's said a lot more things. He's given Hillary a lot more rope in which he can be hung from the things he said. TV appeared. He loves to be on television, and all the stuff that he did prior to running for president, that's coming back, and that's just fodder that she can continue.
That's why Bill O'Reilly can never run for president, because he has years and years of TV moments that they could just cut up into a 30-second spot.
Of telling Peter and I that we're wrong over and over and over.
Exactly. Yes, he's good at that.
That's true. That could take up a few years. And if you look at the stats here, Trump, I think this ad buy is about $4 or $5 million. It's his first one.
Right.
And Hillary's out there spending tens of millions of dollars in these battleground states. Is this too little, too late?
Well, again, that's the marketing aspect of it, and the fact that Donald Trump was able to use for the first year, he was able to use his platform.
Right.
Every time he said something crazy, he was on the front page. Right. Hillary never did that, and so Hillary was spending the money because she did it more traditionally. What Trump's realizing now is that using that platform works for an extended period of time until you're in the general. Now you're in the general, it has to be about traditionalism. So there has to be some tradition there.
Okay, Bruce, real quick, who's going to win the ad wars, Hillary or Donald Trump?
Hillary's going to win the ad wars. Remember that saying, don't hate me because I'm beautiful. Don't hate her because she has the money and she knows what she's doing. This team is in place. They're doing it right. Trump is playing catch up.
That's right. Well, I think Trump needs to spend some apprentice money.
Not a
put
bad
that
idea.
money to work on the air.
Fire
I think
a couple
he might be
more
able
people,
to
right.
catch up with her. All right, Bruce, Peter, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Donald Trump visited with the victims of devastating floods in Louisiana today. And while Obama continued a vacation in Martha's Vineyard, Hillary Clinton warned that a visit to flood-ravaged Louisiana could be a distraction. To go or not to go? We'll debate it up next. In the personal story segment tonight, Trump the consoler. Floods have devastated Louisiana in recent days, killing 13 and damaging an estimated 40,000 homes. Donald Trump and his running mate Mike Pence traveled to Louisiana today to assess the damage and visit with victims. And he issued a challenge for President Obama to do the same.
I just got back from a tour of the suffering and devastation in Louisiana. Honestly, Obama ought to get off the golf course and get down there.
Earlier in the day, President Obama announced he will visit the Pelican State next week after he finishes his vacation. And Hillary Clinton currently has no plans to visit the flooded areas, but encouraged her supporters to help charities in the region. So is this a political win for Donald Trump? With us now for analysis in Tampa, Adam Goodman, a Republican communications strategist, and in studio, Jessica Tarlov, a Democratic strategist. So President Obama got shamed into going down there, didn't he?
Well, you know, he just wants to do whatever Donald Trump's doing. So he was like, when can I get down there now that the Trump train's been in town?
And you remember when Senator Obama criticized George W. Bush
yes.
for his reaction to Katrina.
The flyover with Katrina, yes.
And now Obama's vacationing and golfing, and it's the same thing.
Well, no, Obama has their FEMA officials, DHS officials who were down there. And the governor of Louisiana actually asked for people not to come down for photo ops. They said volunteer or donate your money. Listen, I think it's a great move that Donald Trump went.
So wait, when Democrats criticized George Bush, they were saying, you know, it's just a photo op. It's just a photo op. And Bush was saying, oh, I'm going to get in the way. So now President Obama doesn't want to get in the way, and it's okay?
Listen, I think President Obama should have gone. I've been saying this consistently. I think this is one of those times in these instances where he kind of digs in his heels about certain things, and I don't think it's worth it. I mean, right now he has 54% approval. Donald Trump is just headed downwards. Obama's been great for Hillary Clinton, and I think that it's appropriate and great that he is going to go, and yeah.
Adam, according to everybody, it seems like Democrats are the party of I feel your pain, and they're compassionate and empathetic. But the moment when President Obama can throw on a polo at least and get in front of a camera on the Vineyard for 5 minutes and say, I feel your pain, this is what we're doing, he doesn't do it. And Donald Trump goes there and fills the leadership void.
Well, I can tell you this, Jesse and Jessica both. Leaders are known best for what they do in crisis. You're known best and remembered most for what you do. You look at examples of that all throughout political history. You see Jeb Bush here in Florida, known best for what he did with Hurricane Charlie and a series of hurricanes that followed, really measured up. Nikki Haley in South Carolina with that horrible shooting in the church at the Emanuel AME. She stood up, she measured up. And of course, probably the best example is Rudy Giuliani in New York, when after 9/11, he held a country together through command and empathy. These are things you look for in terms of leadership stripe. And Donald Trump actually came up big today on that score, and I think he needed to. And I guess it comes down to this, Jesse. Yep. When the chips are on the table, you show up.
That's
when
right.
someone's in trouble, you show up, just like friends. But yeah, the president in particular, Jessica, the president in particular, he didn't show up when terrorists struck in Paris over a year ago. He didn't show up. He was at a baseball game in Havana when they hit again in Brussels. When it comes to big moments like that, you expect someone who really cares to be there. And
he does have a little bit of an icy streak here. You know, remember the golfing after the American was beheaded? He flies off to a Vegas fundraiser after Benghazi.
I do. Well,
the tango.
can we also talk about Hurricane Sandy? Can we talk about Sandy Hook? Could we talk about the shooting in Charleston?
It was a great photo op in Hurricane Sandy with the governor, remember?
I miss Christie Big League.
On the beach.
But yeah, no, listen, there are unfortunately so many tragedies that plague this country on a regular basis. You know, you're dealing with 320 million people. And I totally take both of your points here. I would just say that for you to make it out that President Obama never shows up is patently ridiculous.
I just think that Donald Trump showed a little more political agility than President Obama did.
You're just excited because he read from a teleprompter twice in 1 week.
Well, he wasn't reading from a prompter
while
he was in Louisiana. And yes, everyone's very happy he's back on prompter. Thank you guys very much.
Jesse.
Thanks.
Plenty more ahead in this O'Reilly Factor special, election 2016. Did we pay ransom to Iran? There are more developments on the $400 million in cash the Obama administration sent to the Iranians. We'll tell you about it up next. In the Factor follow-up segment tonight, earlier this month, the Wall Street Journal revealed that a $400 million cash payment from the U.S. government to Iran in January coincided with the release of 5 American prisoners from Iranian custody. Still, President Obama was adamant that the cash transfer was not ransom.
We do not pay ransom. We didn't here, and we won't in the future. Precisely because if we did, then we would start encouraging Americans to be targeted, much in the same way that some countries that do pay ransom end up having a lot more of their citizens being taken by various groups.
But yesterday, the U.S. government acknowledged for the first time that the $400 million was used as, quote, leverage to get the Americans back.
When you're inside that 24-hour period and you already now have concerns about the end game in terms of getting your Americans out, it would have been foolish, imprudent, irresponsible for us not to try to maintain maximum leverage. If you're asking me, was there a connection in that regard at the end game, I'm not going to deny that.
Joining us now for a reaction is from Washington is David Tafori, an attorney and former State Department official. And also in Washington, Rebecca Henricks, a national security expert and a fellow at the Hudson Institute. So, David, if it's not related and the cash and the hostage release was merely a coincidence, then why 2 weeks later is it related because it's leverage to guarantee the release?
Well, I'm really glad that the spokesman called this leverage, because that's really what it is. He is admitting that they are related. They were linked. Both transactions were linked. However, this was not a ransom payment. We had an obligation to make this payment as a settlement of a tribunal case at The Hague. We were going to have to pay it anyway. We just used the payment as leverage to make sure we got our American prisoners back. Well, that's not paying ransom. That's smart tactics.
Okay, well, I wouldn't call it smart, and I don't know if we had to pay it. The last 5 presidents didn't pay it, and they didn't think it should have been paid. But, you know, his story changed. Let me back up. Kirby's story changed. So why should we believe him now when at first he said there was no link, and now he said there was a link because the cash plane didn't take off until the hostages were back? Aren't I right?
Incorrect to say there was no link. There was definitely a link. However, this is not a ransom payment. These were 2 unrelated transactions that were linked together by the State Department smartly to use the payment as leverage to secure the release of our Americans.
Okay, that sounds like gobbledygook. Rebecca, I have a definition of ransom, okay? Because I'm a simple man, even more simple than Bill O'Reilly, some people would say. It says ransom, money that is paid in order to free someone who has been captured.
Right.
That's what Kirby just admitted they did.
Bottom line, we would not have gotten our American hostages back if we had not given them the $400 million. And remember, that $400 million, that was a down payment. It's actually $1.7 billion. And if you want to talk about who owes who what, the Iranian government owes billions of dollars to families of victims of terrorism that they are responsible for. I mean, right now, the Iranian government is going to take that money that the Obama administration handed over to them, forked over to them, and they're going to use it to fund Assad, who's just murdering men, women, and children. It's just a humanitarian disaster, and it's going to use it to fund Hezbollah. That is what that money is for. It is a shame, and it was highly irresponsible. We all know it's ransom. The Iranian people know it's a ransom, and they're going to continue to actually take American hostages. They've taken 2 more since that deal because they know that there's a bounty on the heads of Americans.
You know, that's a great point, David. The president, in that famous press conference when he said it wasn't ransom, also said we don't pay ransom because it encourages bad actors to take more hostages. So if it wasn't ransom, then why have the Iranians taken 3 more American hostages since the payment was made?
He's right about the fact that we should not pay ransom. However, the process of getting prisoners released is not a clean, nice business. We're not dealing with Boy Scouts here. We're dealing with a tyrannical regime that took our Americans hostage, imprisoned them under irrelevant, improper charges, and so we needed to get them back. We used this payment as leverage. What you have to look at is the tribunal
So we
case
paid
was coming
them
to a
because we
conclusion.
needed to get the hostages back. That sounds like ransom. I think you just admitted it.
That's a ransom.
You just
No,
said it.
It can't be ransom if it's a payment you had to make anyway, and we had to make it anyway because we settled this
We
case.
only had to make it anyway because Obama was the first president in 30 years to agree to make it.
That's not accurate. That
Yes,
is
it is.
not accurate. You have to look
Carter,
at the tribunal case.
Reagan,
Nobody disputes.
Bush, Clinton, and the other Bush, neither president wanted to pay this money. All of a sudden, Obama says, oh, we have to pay it, so we paid it. You didn't have to do that.
Jesse, nobody disputes the fact that this tribunal case was coming to a conclusion. Did it take a long time? Yes, but it was coming to its conclusion, and there was about to be a judgment against the U.S. that was going to be for a lot more. Nobody has disputed that fact. We settled it for less, for $1.7 billion. The $400 million was the first payment, and we made that payment contingent upon getting our Americans back. And that's what's important.
Yes.
The result is important, which is we got Americans back that should have never been in jail in Iran in the first place.
I agree. No, we're in agreement on that. It's just the tactics were wrong, and I think the American public sees it. Now, I think to myself, if President Obama says if you like your health care, you can keep it, and then that's a lie, why should we believe it when he says it's not ransom? I mean, this guy doesn't have a great track record, especially when it comes to negotiations, Rebecca. I mean, this is the same president that did the Bergdahl trade, that did the debt ceiling fiasco. This guy has not done well when the chips are down.
No, I mean, basically what President Obama does is he goes to the Iranians and he says, what is it that we can do for you?
Right.
What can we do for you? And then they give him a laundry list, and then he bends over backwards to figure out how he can actually deliver on everything that the Iranians want. There's nothing that the Iranians can say that they want that it seems that the Obama administration is not willing to provide them.
Right.
And so we've got several months left of this administration, and the Iranians are going to try to wring it out for all they can get.
That's right,
and
Rebecca.
Again,
and who knows what's going to happen in the next 3 months? We could have more deals. We could be bribing, the guy in North Korea. Who knows what's coming next? David, Rebecca, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
The Clinton Foundation announced it will scale back its fundraising efforts if Hillary wins the election. Is this too little, too late? We'll have a debate directly ahead.
The O'Reilly Factor, the #1 cable news show for 15 years and counting.
Thanks for staying with us for this special edition of The Factor. I'm Jesse Waters in for Bill O'Reilly. And in the Unresolved Problems segment tonight, more Clinton Foundation controversy. Charges are flying that donors to the Clinton Foundation gained undue influence at the State Department while Hillary was Secretary of State. Apparently, to quell the attacks, the Clinton Foundation now says it won't take foreign or corporate money if Hillary wins the presidency. The question is, why is this announcement coming now? Joining us for analysis in Washington is Julian Epstein, an attorney and Democratic strategist. And here in studio, Kristen Tate, a conservative columnist and author of the new book, Government Gone Wild. We sure have a lot of that. So, Julian, if Donald Trump had a foundation, and it's August and he's running for president, and the Russians are funneling millions of dollars into the Donald Trump Foundation, would you have a problem with that?
Well, yeah, and I think the difference here is that with the Clinton Foundation, well, the difference here with the Clinton Foundation, the donors are public. In the case of Donald Trump, he does not disclose his extensive ties with Russia in the same way Paul Manafort, his ties with Ukraine, with Russian-backed
so you would be okay if the Russians disclosed that they were donating millions of dollars?
Well, I think disclosure is first, and I think at least in the case of the Clinton Foundation, you have extensive disclosure. In the case of Donald Trump, you've got even what his son has admitted,
Wait a second,
extensive financial ties,
Julian, I'm not talking
and then
about
the changing of the Republican platform position in favor of the
Julian,
Russians.
I want to get you on the record.
First difference.
Can I get you on the record? You would be okay with Russian money publicly disclosed pouring into a Donald Trump foundation on the eve of a presidential election?
Well, if you talk, when you say Russian money, money from the Russian government, probably not. Money from Russian nationals, if it were properly disclosed, would be much better than what we have right now.
Okay, so Hillary Clinton can take
complaints about
money
the
from foreign interests on the eve of a presidential election. You're okay with that then?
Well, she just said She just said that if elected, she wouldn't take it from corporations.
But she's going to keep taking it for the next 3 months? Kristen, come on, this is crazy.
Absolutely.
Well, Jesse,
let Kristen get in.
George Bush's foundation takes money.
Hold on, Julian.
To pretend that it's somehow honorable for Hillary Clinton to tell her foundation to stop taking donations from foreign entities and corporations is laughable. The damage has been done. The Clinton Foundation has taken tens of millions of dollars from foreign entities, and guess what, Jesse? These entities expect something in return. We know that she took millions of dollars from a foreign entity, and then the owner of this Russian company acquired 20% of the United States uranium mining capacity, and now, thanks to Judicial Watch, we know that a Clinton Foundation employee approached the State Department for special favors for a Lebanese donor. I mean, what is it going to take to put this woman in jail? Liberals will make excuse after excuse for her. And I just want to ask the question to our fellow guest here. Would you be okay with a president who continuously breaks the law over and over with impunity and then lies about breaking the law and then lies about lying about it? What's it going to take for liberals to stop defending a candidate who is blatantly breaking the law?
Go ahead, Julian.
Well, the problem with all of that is, Kristen, with all due respect, it doesn't really seem like you have a good command on what the law is. People made this allegations that she was breaking the law in the case of the email controversy. A Republican head of the FBI director came out and essentially exonerated her on the criminal statutes. In this case, in order for there to be a legal
also said she was a reckless liar and shouldn't be trusted with classified information.
Excuse me, Jesse. Kristen, you just made the case that she had broken the law. You have a Republican head of the FBI who said exactly the opposite. In this case, if you're talking about donations from foreign governments or foreign entities to a philanthropic organization, most major philanthropic organizations do take money, particularly organizations that do lots of important work like AIDS, malaria, everything else the Clinton Foundation has done.
A lot of the money...
In order for you to find... Let me just respond to the legal issue, because you made an accusation. In order for you to have any semblance of a legal case, you must show that the State Department under Hillary Clinton took some kind of official action in exchange for a foreign donation. You come on the program, say she violated the law, and you do what everyone else does. You hide behind that general statement without giving specifics. There's no single example that anyone can show that the Clinton State Department did anything in exchange for a donation to the Clinton Foundation.
Can I tell you why?
Why?
Because the Obama Justice Department blocked the FBI probe into the Clinton Foundation.
That's exactly right.
That's why they haven't found anything, because they blocked the probe.
Because there wasn't any basis for a probe. In order for the Justice Department,
there wasn't any basis.
Guys, I spent years with the Justice Department on these kinds of matters. In order for the Justice Department to get in, you have to have a semblance. You have to have an even appearance of some kind of legal violation. You aren't even close to an appearance of a legal or statutory violation. You're not even close to an appearance of an ethical violation. So it's fine for you to say foreign donors shouldn't be giving to the Clinton Foundation and making some allegation about somebody getting access or not. That's a silly.
These are all just excuses. If Donald Trump did the same thing that Hillary Clinton did, the press would be calling for him to be thrown in jail.
It's a cheap shot. It's a cheap shot with no factual backing. You got to have more facts if you want to come on TV with something more than that.
Julian, thank you very much. Great suit. All right, a quick footnote. Remember to check out the Contributing Factor podcast hosted by Bill O'Reilly, Factor producer Robert Samuel. The latest episode features Fox News' Catherine Herridge with the latest updates on the FBI's investigation into the Clinton Foundation. You can find that on BillO'Reilly.com and iTunes. And up next, swimmer Ryan Lochte has issued a public apology. We will tell you what that's all about directly ahead on The Factor. In the Back of the Book segment tonight, Olympic controversy. Gold medal swimmer Ryan Lochte apologized today for not being, quote, more careful and candid, unquote, in how he described what he initially called a robbery on Sunday in Rio. Lochte originally said he was robbed at gunpoint with 3 other swimmers at a gas station, but Brazilian police say the story is fabricated as the men were drunk and smashed up a gas station bathroom before being confronted by a security guard who drew his weapon to prevent the men from leaving. Lochte has been widely criticized for his role in the international incident.
When anybody goes out into another country to represent our country, and Olympians are part of that representation, they shouldn't be out on the streets at 4 a.m. drinking and carousing. And I think that's kind of common sense. You represent your country. We are a powerful country. People look for things to bat us down, and I think it's up for those of us that are in the public eye, that represent our government, our people, our Constitution, and most importantly, our flag, do so with the highest respect for the country they're in.
With us now with the latest is Carly Shimkus, a Fox News Headlines 24/7 reporter. So I think it looks like Ryan Lochte's the Hillary Clinton of the Olympics. The story keeps changing over and over again.
Oh,
you can't
like
get it
that
straight.
analogy.
But when I heard this story first, it was these guys were just hanging out. This guy went to Lochte, cocked back the hammer. Lochte was like, whatever. He was robbed. And all of a sudden, these guys really had to go to the restroom and caused mayhem. What happened?
The timeline is pretty crazy. So what he originally said happened was all the swimmers were coming back from a party. Armed men dressed as police officers pulled their cab over, robbed them at gunpoint, and like you said, one of them held a gun directly at his forehead. And then he revised the story a little bit, saying, well, the gun wasn't directly pointed at my forehead, it was just pointed in my general direction, and this whole thing went down at a gas station. Okay. And now we're learning that that didn't really happen.
What did they do at the gas station that caused so much drama?
So what they did was they vandalized, according to the police, a bathroom. They broke a soap dispenser.
Ooh.
They broke a door. They ruined the sandwich sign.
Ugly Americans.
So that's what
they ruined the sandwich sign?
That's what they...
Unbelievable. Detain them forever.
Well, that's what happened when in the... and that's why they're saying that they were robbed at gunpoint, because a security guard did detain them with a gun.
Okay, so they caused a little drama late at night. They were obviously hammered. No one remembers anything. They might have embellished. And then Lochte gets out with the gold on a flight back to the States. And his buddies on the swim team are left holding the bag.
Faster than he can swim.
I know. I mean, this guy knows what he's doing.
200 meters.
And not that smart, but he did get out quickly.
Yeah.
So then they shake down one of the swimmers. Do I have that right? They asked for money and he had to hand over cash?
Yeah, basically a ransom, if you will.
That's how we get most of Americans out of foreign countries.
Yeah, an $11,000 ransom to a Brazilian charity, which is a nice touch.
Okay.
And then Lochte,
is it the Clinton Foundation charity?
Then Lochte issued an apology on social media.
Okay.
And the first line, I want to apologize for my behavior last week, for not being more careful and candid and how I described the events of that early morning. He also said that he felt traumatized by being held at gunpoint in a foreign country, but in nowhere, Jesse...
You were doing fine until you said you were traumatized.
Yeah, just back up a little bit. Nowhere in that whole apology did he really apologize for lying.
Yeah.
Which is the big deal.
Well, here's what I think. I think these guys are dumb. They were out late. It was drunk. Nothing good happens after 2 a.m., especially in Rio. But what they did was just a bunch of hooligan behavior. They didn't deserve to get shaken down for the tune of 11 G's from the Brazilians. I get John Kerry on the phone. Make a phone call.
You know what? I disagree.
Yeah?
The big thing, the big misfortune in this whole thing is they're representing Team USA.
Yeah.
And they're wasting a lot of people's time, a lot of people's money, and they're overshadowing
You're right.
the narrative of how fantastic
Team
all the
USA
other
great
doing.
medal winners didn't get any attention.
Yeah,
and all these swimmers are taking all the heat with their crazy hair and ridiculous antics.
Yeah. You don't know anything about that,
I probably would have been right there with them, you know, but luckily I wasn't in Rio. Maybe next Olympics. Thank you very much, Carly.
Thanks, Jesse.
Up next, a special sneak preview of my show this weekend. You do not want to miss this. Right back.
Straight up.
Before we go tonight, a quick reminder. You do not want to miss my show this weekend. I went to the Dominican Day Parade here in New York and asked folks what they think of the presidential candidates. The Latino vote, very, very powerful in this election.
Yes, everybody have to vote. Everybody have to vote.
Are you guys going to vote for president in November?
Hell no.
Hell no. Who are you going to vote for?
Well, it's going to be Hillary Clinton. Better than Trump because Trump don't know nothing. He don't got no experience. Probably Hillary got more experience than him.
Hillary has a lot of experience in messing things up.
Oh, okay.
And I also checked out the New York Renaissance Fair. You're the sheriff around here, correct?
That is correct. Most effortlessly so.
If Hillary Clinton were to break a lot of laws and then lie about it, what would you do to her?
Well, if she's a peasant, like everyone else, she would be punished and forced to work in the salt mines.
My name is John Little, oft called Little John.
Why do they call you Little John?
Irony?
They call me Big Jesse. What do you do on a regular basis?
Steal from the rich, give to the poor.
So you're a Democrat. So don't miss Water's World Saturday at 8 p.m., 11 p.m., and 2 a.m. If you watch them all, I'll personally come to your house to thank you. And that is it for us tonight. Bill will be back on Monday when Donald Trump will enter the no spin zone, so don't miss that. Thanks again for watching this special edition of The Factor. I'm Waters, and this is my world.